President Trump seems to have is done with negotiations. It seems like we're heading towards actual escalation right now. I don't want to get everyone's hopes up, but it seems like we're heading towards military operations. I don't know when, but it seems like we're heading towards it because the Islamic Republic has given up on negotiations completely. And United States is also signaling at like, yeah, we're not going to get into any deals or anything. Both sides are signaling that a deal seems to be impossible. Negotiations are uh, a waste of time, and there's nothing. We're not going to see eye to eye on anything. To me, it seems that to me suggests that they both understand that they're going to head towards war. And at least from the Islamic Republic side, the way I'm seeing is that they're getting ready for it as much as they can. President Trump coming out and multiple things that he said, like he came out and said we have to accept higher fuel prices for a while. This is worth it. And also President Trump recently confirming that they're not talking to the Islamic Republic anymore. To me, this is, I mean, we already knew that a deal is either impossible or very unlikely with these guys. But now that both sides are coming out and saying it outright, like President Trump usually says, like, we're still talking to them. There's still some hope. We're still not going to give up on potentially reaching a deal or an agreement. But I mean, I haven't seen President Trump being this much washing his hands off of it, like a deal or a negotiation. Like it seems like because we also have now information that they were talking to everybody. They weren't just talking to Ghalibaf. Apparently, they were talking to the IRGC directly as well. I mean, you guys probably saw the news that Vahidi and the Trump administration were in communication with each other as well through the Barzani, the president of the autonomous region of Kurdistan. Apparently, they were Axios broke that news, and then President Trump confirmed it that yes, that was true. But it's interesting because the Islamic Republic is now denying it, and to deny it, they try to kill Barzani. Barzani, which had a good relationship with both the United States and the Islamic Republic, they bombed his office and where he lived, which and his wife and children are there too, were directly targeted by IRGC. This was so bad that the IRGC came out and said it wasn't us. This is a false flag operation, probably blaming the Jews. But apparently in Kurdistan region of Iraq, their understanding is that this was the Islamic Republic. But I mean, it's interesting because why would they bomb Barzani? It seems to me like the denial of the IRGC talking to the White House was so important for the IRGC that because this was either leaked or confirmed, they are bombing Barzani to deny that this was happening at all or to try to kill him for exposing that information. I don't know what's happening, but that was a crazy thing that just happened. Anyways, I do want to hear if you guys think that we're actually are you hearing the drum board? We're going back. Anybody? I think we have some twos in the chat, right? Yeah.
Meanwhile, I was the only one that put a two. And just a few points about what you said. We know that Pakistan, Turkey, and the Saudis have all blamed Israel for not going enough for the peace talks. That's something that there were multiple reports at. Another thing is that Erdogan, like from Turkey, also tried to talk with Trump today to convince him to go back to peace talks with Iran. So there seems to be pressure, but at the same time, we also saw today an attack from Yemen by the Houthis on Saudi Arabia. So that does imply that things will happen. And the most recent report I've seen from the US is that the US considering to close temporarily a few bases to evacuate till further notice a few military bases throughout the region. So that's also interesting. I'm not sure if we're heading to a full attack yet. I'm trying to be very skeptical because of the history of how many times we heard this little song and dance of like there will be a deal, there won't be a deal. But it does seem like things are starting to progress that way. We also in Israel have increased the amount of attacks in South Lebanon again, um, even with condemnation. And we have returned to do more operations in Gaza, and that's important because you had Hamas members that infiltrated the yellow line in Gaza, that was basically supposed to be in control of Israel. So things are heating up. It does seem that way. If it goes to a full scale attack, I don't know. I don't think so. Not yet, at least.
Well, not necessarily full
Um,
scale, but some level. Like I think we're gonna. I mean, the Houthi attack also suggests. I mean, is it has it been the Houthis or was this? Um,
it was the Houthis. It was confirmed to be the Houthis.
okay. But that to me, we're going to. To me, it seems like the war is getting more regional, and more players are going to yes, get involved and stay involved, and that's how the Islamic Republic is going to try to get out of the blockade that is in right now. Because right now, the Islamic Republic thinks that the United States just wants to maintain a blockade on it without actually getting too much involved in military operations and suffocate the Islamic Republic to death. And they're trying to use tensions as a way to try to break free from this. And I think the Americans are going to try to find ways to resist increasing tensions too much, by and just containing the Islamic Republic in this trap that they have them in, and just like keep holding the blockade and keep in the as economic isolation, because that's the most efficient, least costly way of getting the Islamic Republic to to surrender or bend the knee. But the Islamic Republic is going to try to lash out militarily as any and try to increase the cost on the Americans for holding the blockade and holding and doing all of this containment strategy, because they notice that if they just keep going like this, at some point they will fall. So they're going to try to get the Houthis, Hashishabi, and themselves and anyone else, Hezbollah, anyone they can, to try to find a way to increase the cost to the Americans. And the more they try and the more they see that it didn't have the cost that they were hoping for, the more extreme measures they might end up taking to get the Americans to go back to war with them instead of just this endless blockade and isolation that they have inflicted upon them. This is my understanding of what the Islamic Republic is thinking.
The thing is, and that's again, we're going back to the mentality of the Middle East. So Iran has been attacking ships constantly. They didn't stop. They never stopped. And the US hasn't responded properly to that. The US has been talking a lot of shit. So is the Islamic Republic. But Islamic Republic, at least, kind of backed it up with actions. The US looks very, very weak. And we have reports. I mean, we have Syria requesting to start their nuclear program. We have tensions between different countries and protection deals doing between different countries in the Middle East, and it very much, like you said, it's a very regional thing, but it also gives legitimacy to the IRGC. It looks like the US is scared of them, and that is the general feeling, not just in Israel but in the Middle East as a whole, that the US is too weak and too cowardly to do stuff. And if the more they won't do it, the more they won't do shit, the more it's going to get worse, and the attacks by Iran will be worse. Because by all means, the US has every justification to attack. many international ships been hit, been struck by the IRGC at this point. Missiles were sent by the Houthis or by Hezbollah, by the proxies, for multiple days now. They have all of the means and all of the reasons to attack back, and we're not seeing it yet. So it's either they're gonna plan something big, or they genuinely do not understand how the Middle East works, because this is going to keep getting worse.
Yeah, I don't agree with that take
Uh,
because but let me just quickly say I don't agree with that take because at the end of the day, what the way United States looks matters less than what's actually happening. And what's actually happening is that United States has found a very efficient and very inexpensive way to cause maximum damage to the Islamic Republic. So, if I was the United States, I wouldn't choose a more expensive, less effective way to fight with my enemy because of what how I look like. I mean, optics do matter, but not to that level. If I'm like, I'm low on munitions, so I don't want to keep like doing this and like keep using my munitions, and without using much of my munitions and without causing too much damage to oil markets, and without messing up with the midterms, I could just hold this blockade and I'm watching my enemy like struggle with it. Like, this is a really good place for me to be in. Like, why would I change that because other people are saying that America looks weak? Okay, like, I don't, I mean, I should care, but I don't care as much as me watching my enemy die in such an efficient way. Like, why would I change strategy?
because it adds pressure from different countries. Because when other countries feel like the IRGC is not dying, and that the US is too weak, and they start to put pressure both on Israel and the US to go for more peaceful ways, because they keep having
What pressure?
they
What
keep having their stuff getting struck.
Wait,
Well, we have
what
the
pressure?
Saudis.
Sorry. What pressure can they put on United States?
They mainly will put it on Israel, and that's a problem, because
What
then the
pressure?
proxies uh, will dare. They There's a lot of political pressure, on Israel to that they're not doing enough to further peace in the region, that they are going to ruin peace deals with Iran, that they need to stop attacking. And at the same time, we're seeing more Hezbollah attacks and more Hamas attacks that are getting worse. And like I said, the infiltration of the yellow line, that has been a major thing that shouldn't have happened. And at the same time, it seems like Israel is also not responding properly, because because that international pressure to not act too much, not ruin the peace talks. And this is a thing that affects the work. This is why it's really important in the Middle East, because the how you look in the Middle East is incredibly important for the moves that every country will do.
Okay, I still don't understand. Okay, so let's dissect this one by one. Okay, so um, pressure on United States. Um, what pressure on United States is meaningful pressure? Like, what country exactly is putting what pressure on United States here? Um,
Okay,
Political.
let me be clear.
Yeah.
it it's more pressure on Israel. More than
Okay,
anything,
so
it's pressure on
let's put that
Israel.
aside. So if it's pressure
Yeah.
on Israel, then United States is not feeling that much of a pressure. So people's feelings that United States is weak is not that relevant, because United States is noticing that the strategy is working, and if people are feeling differently, United States shouldn't adjust its behavior based on people's feelings, right? Pressure on Israel, political pressure on Israel, I don't think is has always been there. It doesn't matter what Israel does. Israel will always be at fault, according to the same people who would, like most people. Like, I mean, I think Israel is used to political pressure. So I don't know how that. If we're talking about internal political pressure, that is meaningful pressure. External political pressure, I don't know why Israel would be should care about that right now. Internal, like Israelis being upset with Israeli government, yeah, sure, that's a meaningful. But right now, I think Israel is not too worried about external political pressure. Military pressure by Hezbollah, for example, that actually supports the U.S. position, right? Because it was like, oh, you're like, oh, Israel, Hezbollah is attacking Israel right now. Okay, well, the financial pressure that Israel is putting right now on the Islamic Republic, and also is exactly how you get less of that. Hezbollah is so much is having a very very difficult time rearming itself, is exactly because of the isolation that United States has put the Islamic Republic under right now. So if we're talking about military pressure from Hezbollah, the current isolation is being very effective. Um, so I still don't see what the issue here is, right? Like Hezbollah is weakened, Hamas is being weakened. I do agree with the criticism against the United States regarding what Jared Kushner did in Egypt with Hamas leader. That was like embarrassingly stupid. Um, but when it comes to the Islamic Republic, I still don't see, if I'm the United States, why should I be changing my position? Why should I be changing my position right now? The isolation is
Okay.
working. The economic blockade is working. Why should I change this position right now?
Well, if you've seen yesterday, the Washington Post also reported that Saudi, the Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain uh, have been discussing on physically taking out any American military forces from the bases in their countries, which personally, like I'm not the military expert. Jeffrey is here, but but to me, it seems like they do not trust the U.S. enough to protect them, and they're trying to get the U.S. out of their countries because they're afraid the IRGC will start bombing them again.
Doesn't that work well with the Dondro doctrine, though? Like, isn't that what the President Trump wants to, for these countries to stop being so reliant on U.S. security and figure out do more of their do more for them to commit to securing themselves in the area? Wouldn't that be in line with that?
That's a good question, and that's a thing that I don't think I know enough about, and I cannot answer.
Okay, but great points, though, Sapir. Like, I think this was very good back and forth, right? Like, I think I really enjoyed talking to you about this. I hope like I didn't come off as
Thank you.
too aggressive or anything. Did I come off as
What? No, not at
oh,
all.
okay?
No, I hope
And
I don't come off as aggressive. I'm passionate.
no, yeah, no, I don't mind being you being aggressive, but this is good. This is good. Let's hear other people talk as well, because I saw a couple of twos in the chat. So,
Okay, sorry.
yeah.
Jose, that's your turn now.
We're just having a sandwich. Okay. Now, the original topic is what do I think about what's happening? And if is this going to lead into an attack? Correct, Armin?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This is what I actually think. When the Washington gets in to range, they'll have 3 carriers, and that'll be the ultimate again, like they did last time when they came in the first time for bombardment. They had 3 carriers in the area. So I think we're waiting for the Washington. After the attack goes off, it'll give the Abraham Lincoln, who has been forced to retreat, 30,000 with 60,000 AWOL, according to the IRGC, and one of their latest whatevers. Okay, give them a final chance to say "F you" to the IRGC, and then start heading home. which will take care of two things on the way that they go home. Okay. They'll be able to take the Washington's place in the Philippines before heading back, you know, or they can stop at Subic Bay and replenish in Subic Bay. Because I know that that base has been reopened in the Philippines recently. Um, so basically, all we have to do is wait for the Washington to get there and see what happens. It could be another week, I think, if I remember correctly, like early next week before they actually are, are in range. But I wouldn't expect the Abraham Lincoln to pull out before that carrier shows up. That's all I got.
Okay.
Okay. Next is Samantha. She wanted me to read something out. What about military actions against what Hezbollah? You mean Hezbollah?
Hezbollah, just
Uh,
put it as Hezbollah. Again, please
yeah,
just call them Hezbollah so other people who are listening to us could know what we're talking about.
yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Go. Okay.
What about military actions against Hezbollah? Can we go back to military actions against Hezbollah? I mean, we are doing it just mainly in the south. We need to go back to Beirut.
By the way, can I just tell you something about southern Lebanon? There was a video that is now going viral on Iranian social media. Is from this woman in full chador, like hijabi chador, on Iranian state TV, and it's it's really it's getting so viral that the Islamic Republic is trying to somehow say it was taken out of context, but we watched it in the full context, and it was basically exactly what it sounded like. And basically, the lady, and again, I don't know if you guys realize how big of a deal this is in Iran, but I'll tell you this is a big deal, right? So the lady came on the Islamic Republic State TV, and it said all of these traitors who are saying southern Iran is getting bombed, southern Iran is getting bombed, will sacrifice southern Iran for southern Lebanon. So she declared that, you know, we are willing to sacrifice southern Iran for the sake of southern Lebanon. And this is now going viral on Iranian social media, and it's the state TV is coming out and trying to fix this, but so many Iranian people are so angry over this that, because especially because she started talking to us. Okay, so the clip started talking about the people, Iranians inside Iran, who are asking Trump for help, and then she called them traitors and people who are sellouts, selling out their country, right? Constantly talking about southern Lebanon being southern Iran being bombed, and she said we're willing to sacrifice southern Iran for southern Lebanon. And people are like, yeah, you keep telling us that we're anti-patriotic, we're sellouts. Right after calling us that, you just told everybody that you don't care about Iran, you care about Lebanon. Anyway, so this is a big deal because Iranians care so much about their land and so much about somebody giving up land and talking about their land like that. This is now has caused major backlash. Anyways, just thought you guys might want to know. All right.
That is brilliant. Jeff,
Yeah,
that's your turn.
I'll show it on at least
Jeffrey?
section. Jeffrey, I'm Jeff.
Yeah. Hey guys. So, I mean, definitely having more carriers in the region gives you more flexibility. Again, I would contend if, you know, being able to have a comprehensive air campaign against the Mullah regime remnants, or even, well, including like, and its proxies, including the Houthis and Hezbollah, all the rest of them, very much would be a lot easier if we just leveraged all of our heavy bombers. Yeah, you can definitely have those carriers in theater because they allow you to maintain the the operational pressure, so the Mullah regime and its proxies can't adapt, reconstitute. Again, like if they did like an extended 5x5 with a couple extra high and low intensity pulses of our heavy bombers. So instead of 120 hours, we want to include like the Houthis and Hezbollah. Yeah, I mean that could probably be done in like 10 days tops. And then what would happen is the Middle East would become very quiet very quickly because the Mullah regime is completely obliterated. All of the Houthis get obliterated, whatever's above ground and whatever they're at, and Hezbollah gets obliterated. I mean, there's going to be pockets and bits and pieces. I mean, there's no way to kill them all unless you like blanket the air, say fully autonomous weaponized drone swarms, which would be something I would do. That said, we're still building that out. We're actually in the process of building that out for these kinds of operations in that region. That's all I'll say about that. I'm saying that like there's time compression we have to operate within, with like the broader geopolitical and geostrategic environments. There's that kind of compression, right? Putin doing his stuff in the Intermarium, Chaikom's against the Mullah regime, all the dumb shit going on in the Korean Peninsula. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, yeah, I mean, as far like that's what I would do. As far as like just that would be over, like very decisively. I would have a decisive policy that would eliminate these things very quickly, and it would be over very quickly, and then we can focus our efforts other places. As far as like what the Gulf states and other people are like, well, we're concerned because like the Mullah regime is attacking us because of what America's doing or Israel's doing. That's horseshit. I mean, the Mullah regime has been attacking everything and everybody about it since its existence. I mean, the Mullah regime with its Houthi proxies used small quadcopter drones to attack Saudi refinement back in like I think it was 2018 or 2019. That's years before Operation Midnight Hammer or Epic Fury or any of the other stuff. I mean, there's been constant tension between the Mullah regime that's illegally occupied Iran since '79 and the House of Saud for decades. I mean, just take a look at what goes on in Bahrain. So I don't know. It seems like a very warped interpretation based on some, kind of fanciful, delusion that, well, if we just sit there and don't like align with America, then maybe these guys, these bad guys that have been attacking us for like decades, won't attack us anymore. I mean, that's fucking crazy. Doesn't it seem crazy? It seems crazy to me. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Can I say something real quick, Carmen?
You're the admin. You're the mod. I should be asking you.
Okay. It's less about being afraid of getting attacked by the IRGC. It's more about losing faith in the US. What I am mostly afraid of, it's gonna be more like internal agreements, things that they're gonna start hiding from the US because they don't trust them anymore. But obviously, it's more complicated than what it seems. Okay. Shauna.
Well, there's a couple of things. One of the things that Trump is trying to balance is you have within his base, it's not people who are isolationists. I'm not talking about the isolation. I'm not talking about ISO cucks. I'm just talking about people who are leaning more on that side of isolationists, but they're not full blown, like they don't think America should never get involved. They're not that, but they are a little bit more timid. They're afraid of the forever wars. They're getting media propagandized that this is Afghanistan 2.0, blah, 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 blah. You have that in his base. You also have people like me who just want to go balls to the walls. And, I'm not the one who should ever be making these decisions because I don't have military experience. But I'm constantly wanting to go hard and heavy and just take care of it. and I don't necessarily have all the details. So the reason I bring that up is that Jeffrey brought up the time period of about 10 days. What I find, and Jose kind of mentioned something about that as well, kind of hinted at that as well. Um, the reason why that's really interesting, though, from a local perspective, is that in the next 10 days, everybody's going to be going back to school, which means that Jessica is going to be loading up her little van and taking her kids to soccer or taking them back to school shopping and doing all of that stuff. What I'm saying is that people, if he wants to strike in about 10 days, is going to be the perfect time to do it because people are not going to be paying attention quite yet. It's going to be the most distracted America is going to be because everybody's going back to school. All of the people who vote that live in the suburbs, they're going back to school. So that is just something that I kind of wanted to think about as well, is like if he wanted to strike, then in about a week would be about the time to do it. And then like kind of the end of August through Labor Day would be the perfect time to do it. And then his hands might be politically tied in terms of political capital until after the elections. And so I just kind of want to keep that in mind, that he is looking at these things. This is a media personality. So I'm not saying that it's 5D chess or anything. I'm just saying that that might be something, not that specific thing, but just knowing internally kind of America's schedule, if that makes sense. Yeah. So just throwing that out there.
Love the new profile picture. Look very clean. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Shana. Elijah. Eliza? Sorry.
Hi, my name's Elisa. How you guys doing?
Elisa. Okay.
Great.
So I wanted to circle back to Armin. I think the original topic was the U.S. military response and when that might happen.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a couple of things to take into consideration as far as the military response, right? So one is that remember that Trump uh at, in his bones is a deal maker, right? He's all about making deals. I put the Mecca agreement as my topic, so I'll dive into that later when it's when it's up for rotation. But look at but I just wanted to point out all the different ways that Iran or the Islamic Republic, excuse me, the how the Islamists have been isolated right now. So they have been extremely constrained across like 6 different domains, right? You have the economic pressure, you have their the energy pressure. They haven't been able to export hardly any oil. You have the diplomatic and political pressure coming in from the Mecca joint agreement. Um, and then of course their military has been degraded. Their proxies are being removed from the board. Hezbollah has been weakened significantly. Hamas is disarming, or is going to disarm. We'll see about that. But overall, Iran is being, excuse me, the Islamic Republic is being constrained from so many different directions that that is more significant than just the kinetic military response. That's just one of the many layers of war fighting. This is like 5th gen warfare. So you can't just look at the kinetic action. You have to take into account the economic and the political and the fight um, uh, political action as well.
Yep. Perfectly summarized. That was pretty good. Thank you. Great to have you here. My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.